recent years, the course of Mystery Case Files history has been slowly changing, with Grandma Studios at the helm. What they call a new era within the franchise has begun, and little by little, new pieces of what will now be the franchise's story have been revealed. With the recent release of Fragments of Truth and MCF's story, a little more lore has come out, but there still is a bit of a dilemma as to how the story will unfold from now on and how the timeline works, which seems to have changed completely. I'm Sina, and welcome to this new video from the Ravenhearst experience. Make yourselves comfortable and let's get started. Between 2005 and 2019 is what we could call the main timeline of Mystery Case Files, starting with Huntsville and ending with Black Brown. In this timeline, the focus is on the Master Detective and the antagonists who appear along the way, most of whom, I'm looking at you Dahlimar, had nothing to do with the previous one. In 2020, there was a change in several ways. The Mystery Case Files franchise moved from Apex to Grandma, and with this, they began a small duology with two games that, although not directly related in theme, led to each other, and this is where the complex part begins. During Crossfade, a series of anomalies occur in timeline, with some of the cases the detective had experienced in the previous 15 years of her career happening differently that they should have. Ravenhearst with Charles and Rose, Broken Howard with Meredith and Harold, Fate's Carnival with Alistair and Madame Fate, and the Black Bill with Richard and Allison and Nanko were the cases affected, and the archivist, who died in Matsuya Flame, was back to 100 at the end of each resolved anomaly. In the end, the one who appeared to be the archivist turned out to be an entity that thanked the detective for solving what was wrong, and it was revealed that this entity existed within her. After expressing her gratitude, the cave collapsed. Shortly after, a team of rescuers from Mystery Case Files arrives, and one who helps the detective, apart from sounding very familiar, gives a strange green energy. The archivist somehow returned, or so it seems. From here, although only one line emerges, we're going to separate it into a what if. If everything developed normally, the green energy that has taken center stage will step aside, and Incident in Thunder Tower, The Last Resort, and A Crime in Reflection will occur normally, being typical cases for the Master Detective. The only change being that in A Crime in Reflection, we'll not have Miss Ravenhearst as our guide. But what about the other storyline? If you've been paying attention to the latest releases, you'll see that the normal storyline skips a game that takes on much more importance with this year's new releases, the Dahlimar Legacy. In this game, everything that wasn't dealt with before regarding green energy, which was always present but very much in the background, was dealt with, giving it an ability that we didn't know they had. Taking you back in time. If you remember correctly, you go back to 1895 as Charles Dahlimar, your longtime enemy, and decide to stop all the evil he did, or at least try to stop what was already done. Charles finally ends up in prison, and this is where the biggest change in the timeline comes in. Due to a technicality, Victor was never born, so there was no one to carry on his legacy. Considering that this is the year Charles was in prison, Emma remained alive and was able to have children. She returned to the United States, and finally, Evelyn, her great-granddaughter, returned to England and became the head of Mystery Case Files. With all this, Ravenhearst, Return to Ravenhearst, Escape from Ravenhearst, Key to Ravenhearst, Ravenhearst Unlocked, Rewind, and part of Crossfade are cancelled, which, in terms of logics, will partially break the timeline, but let's not take that into account. Other games that take Dahlimar's, mainly Charles, into account, but will be slightly modified. Let's say Madame Fate still happened, and Fate and her performers died. But instead of being killed by Charles, she will be killed by Alistair through Thanatos, leading to a sporadic disappearance until Fate's Carnival and Dire Grove Sacred Grove, making the latter his death. Finally, we come to the so far last game in the franchise, Fragments of Truth and MCF's story. And although I can't tell you much about it since it was released literally yesterday, in this game you're not the Master Detective, you're a new detective, a little more of a novice and who doesn't always have the answer to everything like the great detective. In this game, Alistair, Phineas, Brown, the archivist, and Rose return as visions. And here, some of the things I said earlier make much more sense. In one of the visions, you can see Alistair Justice Charles in Madame Fate after killing Fate, entering and finally being freed from his captivity. Now, that's all I can say without giving away any spoilers, but I recommend that you play when you can and let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and had fun. This idea actually came up yesterday on our server while we were discussing the logic of the game. By the way, link in the description. It's a bit of a crazy idea, but it made a lot of sense in my head. Anyway, have a great day, and remember to stay curious.